All right, good evening, everyone. I hope you're having a fun holiday season. Whichever holiday you're celebrating, be it solstice, which was last night, or Festivus, which is tomorrow, or Christmas, or whatever else is going on, or New Year's. This is going to be my Christmas multi-part live stream. Going to be 4 parts covering some PRR Main Line stuff I did back in 2007. We're getting close to the end of my 2007 photos, but as you may have noticed, I do have a few more in 2008 that we can do, so I'm not quite short of content yet. And I think I had some additional things to pull in even after I finish all of my early work here. So this just a quick summary of what this is going to involve. This is going to be a trip I took out with my friend Chuchubob before I really got in the habit of, doing stuff in and around the Northeast Corridor. I think I've already done some stuff. We went out with SMS lines. And this particular day, we went out to Harrisburg. I wanted to stop off at some places near Lancaster where CORK Tower was where the resignaling was going to be impacting that. Then, of course, we stopped at the M&H. Then continued on to CP Rockville and some locations on the Buffalo line and hip interlocking across the way. So there's a lot of neat stuff here that I'm glad I picked up over the years. And I think you'll have an interesting time too. Interestingly enough, 3 days later, I basically did almost the same trip, although in different locations, but the same sort of areas. I even stopped at Leaman Place again with better weather. But for that trip, I was mostly doing a lot of stuff in the Susquehanna Valley on the Port Road. That's going to be a 5-part series. We'll see when I'm able to get to that. If I have to wait till next Thanksgiving, or if I can do it a little bit earlier. But that one's going to be a little bit longer. So we'll see. I didn't want to necessarily break it up over those so many days and weeks. So, for the record, Leaman today what is known as Amtrak's Leaman interlocking is located near Leaman Place, which most people are aware of because it's right near Gap, where the Strasburg Railroad comes into play. You can see the Strasburg Railroad coming in there. Everybody knows it goes to Paradise. I mean, yeah, Paradise is technically is a location, but Leaman Place is a location within that location. For most times, it was known as a temporary block station in the ABS days. Although it was one of the more, I would say it's a very Pennsylvania Railroad temporary block station, in that it had signal protection, a pair of hand throw crossovers, and an operator shed with a small lever machine. I have seen a picture, but I haven't been able to find it. I think I might have emailed it or sent it on an IM many years ago of the machine. It was a panel type thing, and it basically worked the signals and the electrically locked switches. Leaman, when it was in service, would be midway between CORK and PARK on the PRR Main Line. It was only in service when track work necessitated single tracking, and they actually needed to break up that 20-mile gap. From my friend who was an operator on the main line, said that the Leaman job was a very coveted position. Not even it wasn't a position because it was only open as needed, but the operators tended to keep the number of people who were qualified to operate Leaman very small. That way, whoever was called out to work it, it wasn't even an extra guy. It was usually a more senior person. Not only could they get overtime, but it's one of those things where if you just need to come out briefly, you could get an 8-hour pay just for one call out. So they tried that, and PARK. Both Leaman and PARK were sort of kept to a smaller number of people, so they could sort of game the system a bit. Today it is a full interlocking, although it kept its slow speed 15-mile-an-hour turnouts. The right-of-way is, as you can see here, was originally built for 4 tracks. It collapsed to maybe about 3 tracks. I heard about 3 tracks after 1948. Or some sources said 2 tracks. Other sources would say 3, and then by 1960 it was down to 2 tracks. This is due to the higher performance of freight trains and the Columbia low-grade freight lines, making running freight on the PRR Main Line itself less necessary. So here are looking west. This is a pretty crummy day. Note the PRR style railing and the width of this part of the NEC. The tracks in this area are still tracks 1 and 4, even to this day. One second. So, like I said, while this was halfway between an ABS location and an interlocking. So, while a lot of temporary block stations, which there were others on the main line, either the two notable ones were E-Town, Elizabethtown, although it was called E-Town, and Florin. E-Town was a full crossover, had a little hut. Florin was a single. What do I call a single? Oops, there's your problem. A single reverse direction. Trailing point crossover. But Leaman Place was somewhat special that it had signal protection, semi-automatic signals, because you could put these to clear and they would just work like autos. And they had the little marker light. Even though they had no number plate, they would still show stop and proceed. And then 2 hand throw crossovers that were electrically locked. So here we have the 2R signal. Don't mind me just getting going here. And you can see that the new the equipment for the new interlockings are already in place. After the resignaling project between 2005 and 7, in addition to the concrete tie replacement, proceeded from Harrisburg to eastward until it got to first closing CORK Tower in 2007, and then proceeding, at least I thought it was 2007, it might have been 2008. This is pretty late in the year for 2007. So CORK might have gone in 2008. And then sometime between 2008 and 2013, Leaman was put into service, and then finally they got it all the way to Park, and then finally Park to, more recently, in about 2019, they went the rest of the way from Park to Thorn. That's a smaller amount of smaller distance there. But here we can see the new relay huts that are in place for what will become Amtrak Leaman interlocking. And this would complement Reams interlocking, which took the place of E-Town, the temporary block station between Lancaster and Harrisburg. This signal here was a very nice, it was well painted. Amtrak typically did the PR practice of all black signals. Conrail would do a silver base and then a black top. This one seems to have been somewhat outside the norm, being painted all silver except for the head and lamp. So this is the 2R signal. It had, like I said, it had a 2-lever machine. Well, it had 2 signal levers, 2 and 4, and then it had levers for the switches. Labeled AW, like AWR and BWR. So A and B switch. Oh, I forgot to mention something special today. This is the last stream by this my incredibly clunky Windows 7 computer in my parents' house. About 6 months ago, I did do a technology refresh in my main residence, and I just was very late. I assumed that a Windows 7 to 10 upgrade was going to be an in-place upgrade was going to be very, very painful. I needed to reserve quite a bit of time to make sure that I could get everything reinstalled and my workflows going again. And it turned out that it was actually quite easy. So tomorrow, if all goes well, I should be on a new computer here. The one downside is that my image software, Windows, is not entirely hunky-dory with Windows 10. There's a reason I've been holding out on 7 for so long. I get occasional crashes. So if I'm streaming on that and my image editor crashes, it won't crash usually when I'm editing on on anything. It'll crash when I'm doing ancillary activities. So that might be a little annoying, but it's not all the time. It's like maybe over the course of a night we'll see, 4 max. Just more pictures of the 2R mast signal here. Basically, again, markers. Oh, is this? No, this is a real cast iron old mast. It was just painted silver. When I came back, I said I came back later a few days later to get better photos of this in nice sunshine. I'm betting that there's something up with. I don't think that this was in place during the 3 or 4 track era, because there's no indication of any depth to what the signals would have been able to display. Sorry, I'm saying weird things. What's going on here? Oh, what I mean is that there's not obvious. There's one signal gantry and nothing else. This was probably an ABS location, and they're not going to have a 4-track crossover, TBS. So this was probably added when it went down to 2 tracks. Then one of the signal bridges was a 4-track ABS, and then that just was reduced to 1 signal, and then this was the other one. This would have been added new around 1960. I don't know if this exact mast was added in 1960. Hold on. Leaman says... Oh, I can't read it. Built 1961. So maybe that's the date. I bet that's the date. Now I can go and I think that's a good date for the 4-track thing. Yeah, 1960 or 1961. So this did not exist before the 2-track procedure. Oh, shoot. Here we have I believe this is the A switch. Oh, sorry, the B switch, BWL. I think B means, I'm not actually sure, or The actual, I'll show you the old signal numbers. Would have been 569 and 570. So this isn't even a lock. This is just a switch. So there's no, because this is trailing, there is no electric lock on this at all. This is not an electric lock. This is a T20 hand throw switch machine that can also operate a derail. The electric lock is an optional extra, and there's not one fitted. I did a blog post about a couple months ago on electric, or earlier this year on electric locks. And I actually went through my US&S catalog so that I can get my my nomenclature right. One second. When Amtrak came in and did their, so the first thing they did was the track work, although the signaling followed shortly behind. So in 2005, they were doing single track west of CORK to do the ties, and then they would come in and cut in the new signaling. So that when they came in with the switches, they all got these nice spring frogs. I probably should have tried to come out there sooner, but I just before it was done up all in this way. Spring frogs, if you don't know what those are, to avoid a normal frog that has the gap, so that's another. Well, you can have spring frogs. Caltrain using them for up to 50 miles an hour. They started at a lower speed. Caltrain actually installed them for 50 miles an hour. The way this works is when a train is taking a diverging route, the flange will impact right there, and will move the movable frog over, but it then will restore due to a spring. And here we have the spring frog. Oh, sorry, it's not the frog doesn't move. This outer flange rail does. So the wheel flange will get into this gap right here, and will push the stock rail to the side. This whole bit is the thing that moves, and that's the hydraulic or whatever buffer that will then restore it. And these are all sliding mounting points there, whatever you call those. It's almost like a sliding Pandorol clip that allows for movement in the x-axis. And here we are walking down to the eastern spring frog here on track number 1. The other one's on track number 4. Oh, you know what I can do? That's a better thing. I'll just say it's the track number 1 switch. That's better. Those names are much better. And we have the same thing here. the track 4 Spring Frog looking eastbound. And I also came back when this was a full interlocking, and I got all sorts of up-to-date images of it and the new signals and everything. There we go. So this is then the full range of the temporary block station. I don't think I was ever on a train that crossed over here. It also has section switches for the overhead catenary. I don't think that they were remote controlled, though. There was not a substation here, so they would have just been hand operated sectionalization. And here is Leaman Tower, if you want to call it a tower. Again, it's technically a temporary block station, but unlike the other ones, this has a panel inside of it somewhere that I swear that I saw at one point. Today, Strasburg Railroad has taken this area and has turned it into a transloading facility. Believe it or not, Strasburg actually has a pretty robust freight operation. And it was getting so robust that it was starting to interfere with their passenger services when they were loading and unloading down at Strasburg itself. So they had to come in, and they basically I think these buildings are still here, but they've built, or maybe those are new buildings. Yeah, whatever that was, it's been done. But there's the new transloading dock right there, and so they can then take delivery at the siding down here. This is where the Strasburg does its runaround. There's a hand throw siding in here, and then they can do all their transloading stuff right here. They just, even though it's Amtrak will drop the cars off, but they do sort of terminal switching operations. So anyway, here's the Leaman quote unquote tower, and there we see the Penn Central Leaman sign. Don't know whoever ended up with that. I don't think it was there when I visited after its closure. In 2021, just goes to show how long it was before I ever came back. That's going to be our first round for today. I'm trying to get through all the Leaman and CORK stuff. That's my goal. Checking if I'm got everything I needed. Come on. Yep, that's the right one. So yeah, the performance in the future days will be much improved. Let's see if anybody has any questions. Yeah, so the T20 is the USNS catalog number for a hand throw switch machine. It's the one that looks like it's got more going on. It looks like that the way that those hand throws, those USNS sort of low profile hand throws, it looks like there's something motorized in there, but there really isn't. GRS had a similar model. I remember I was actually on an Amtrak train, and the crew spent 15 minutes trying to have the dispatcher throw a hand-thrown switch. So, as we get into the A switch, There's a little bit. All right. Anyway, here we go. A few more bits and pieces of the Leaman. So this is still here. The hut is still there, but it's been pretty well stripped out. It's made of metal, so it can't really catch fire. That's a plus. I don't know who got the signs. I'm hoping it. I'm betting it was, someone interested definitely got them. I think the Roy signs are still there. I'm very tempted to turn that into a mission, but we'll see. Or I wouldn't do it, but maybe someone will. So this is the inside of Leaman Tower when it was still active. Now I have photos of Leaman Tower when it was current, as of a couple years ago. Where would I have those up for discussion? Here we go. So here's a picture in 2021. Not looking nearly as nice. Still locked, but the windows gotten broken out. I don't know what those bars were for. The pipe sort of things. Picture through the door. That was what was inside the panel. So I don't know if that was just a telephone junction box or what. And I don't know where, I could have, maybe I dreamed with it, but I don't know where the control panel was. So, in this thing I'm looking, and maybe, I thought, they'd open that to work the interlocking. But when you look inside, it looks like it's just telecom stuff. So maybe that's not it. But then where was it? I looked in there. I looked through the window. I did not see it on that table. So there's the squawk box. Maybe it was just out of, I don't know, just out of range or just out of my view. I thought I looked in there pretty thoroughly. A lot of the towers, when you look at their telephone boxes, they'll say CORK, and then the next one down will be Thorn Park. Because the TBS, while it was on the loop, it didn't really. The only thing it only had party line and dispatch, block line and dispatch would be the proper terms, I guess, for that. And this is a little thing that I saw. Looks like the parts of a note. What does it say? Something. Leaman Place! Exclamation point. Something an emergency does not any odd for use at Leaman must below number 13 or you wrong channel. Not with interrupt their Amtrak something operating block. How to open the block. Opening block. Use something. Yeah, so that's an interesting little note there. You can see the limited space. I only had a camera, not a phone with me today. There was there's situations you can sort of jam your phone into places that you can't get a camera. I'm sure that I did not save this photo in whatever years ago. I'll try to maybe jot down whatever that could be. But if we go to a more modern, yeah, that would have been like right in there, and it's gone. Remember, I did not get inside it. I just was able to take photographs. I didn't crawl through the window at Leaman. Maybe I will in the future. It's kind of low payout. And we have block phone equipment. What's interesting is though it looks different. It's the type of equipment, the phone telecom gear here looks very similar to what I saw in Colorado, with just like a basic whatever. Gap road base, park something at oh, that might be the defect detector. Huh, maybe the bell rings the defect detector. And now we're on to the A crossover. So, yeah, and we have a T20 switch. So what's the point of these? Why are these little goofball things? Why are they what they are? These are designed to work derails. The lever in its throw will operate a pipeline. There's a levery thing. It turns crank action into side to side and back and forth. That worked. Again, here we have the spring frog. Don't know what this extra stuff with the frog there is, but it's there. Well, I'm sad I did not get out to Leaman. So in this area right here, like right here where this spray paint is, the original, where's that diagram I had up for it? Here we go. Each of these had I have a photo of one of these from last year. You can have a single electric lock device in the middle that you throw, and that operates a pipeline that unlocks the other two, or that unlocks or does something with the other two switches with the T20. Sorry, it allows the other two hand-thrown switches to be thrown. I can show you an example of that, even if it means sort of getting off the ball here. Oh, here's Roy. Is that sign there? Yes, it is. So at Middletown, they have a industrial sign of the M&H. And here's this. This is what used to exist at a Leaman place. One of these. So what is that? This is the electric lock. It's a TM20. An E20 or an E25 electric lock. And that unlocks. It allows you to then throw this guy. Throws this lever. Hold on. And that is able to interact with both of these in some manner. I don't know if this unlocks. So normally this is a push me, pull me type of thing. I'm guessing there might be a mode where it can then be used to remotely unlock it with the pipeline. I'm not entirely sure. But this allows you to throw this pipe. And then that does something to the... it might, for all I know, it might actually just throw them. But then it would be out of sync with its own lever. So I'm not entirely sure how that works. I've sort of seen some stuff there. I thought it would just it would throw like... it would just allow the pipe to move. I don't think that it would try to throw those switches. I think it just allows them to be thrown. But this is the setup that they had at Leaman Place on both. And in the period of time before this became interlocking and after the resignaling, after they put in the new track, these locks did not come back. So I'm guessing there isn't a lot of strict regulation on electric locks. Just seeing if I have... Oh, I do have this. I have the USNS catalog from the 2001 or something, or 1999. 1999 product guide. This is before they really got... they were forward. Here it is. This is what I'm talking about. T20 and T21 hand-operated switch machines. The lockable is the basic hand-operated, while T21 is equipped with a target staff. Can a lock bar switch in which the switch in the normal position enters a notch in the lock, locks the switch points in their normal position, facing point protection, addition, escapement, blah, blah, blah. Contacts. Right hand, left hand. So I'm not entirely sure how the doohickey works. When it says used for facing point protection, that's purely in how the switch machine works. Not that it's has interlocking in it. It's just that it won't come loose and the tracks will start flopping around. So here's what I believe was the original signal bridge in use up until the 1961. There, as you can see, it had that ABS thing there. So maybe this was 2 tracks until the 1960s. I could have sworn that I saw in a book that it was 3 tracks. Not that I saw a book like a legit picture in a Triumph for the PRR. Could also have been that they found out that they needed this and then decided to install it. Whew. So it's the 4L switch. There's no reverse direction signals. You're wondering how that works. Well, it's not an interlocking, it's a temporary block station. But when you would be giving Form Ds, the Form D specifies that if there's not a signal protecting your Form D will go up to a place like this, goes to the fouling point of the switch of the switch. So going to my diagram, that's going to be the old 570 thing there. Oh, looks like I didn't do this one back in the day. Probably because it was too dark. But nothing I need now. Perfect. Alright, that works. So here we have the 4L rear plus the Leaman power supply. And here we have 4L, the rear of it. With these photos redone, maybe there's a good excuse for me to do a bit on Leaman Place, like I'm doing with CORK or the other PRR towers. Alright, that looks good. And here we have on the other side. Note that these have the sort of older Norfolk and Western style hoods over the position lights. Compare with the PRR one here. That's the sort of the PRR preference with that little longer one. This is very N&W style right there. I don't think that there's anything really different on them from the back, though. They look pretty... Oh, yeah, these are older. That's a PL2. That one there, I can't see on that one. Now, those are all PL2s. They have that rounded top. Maybe we'll go in after the fact and get a close-up of that. That's actually very interesting. That's not working well. And both these are, of course, just clear because they're acting as automatics at this point. Hold on. I need number 23. I don't usually do redos, but I want to get a quick thing of that upper head there. Yeah, very strange. It has the PL2 units. And the last one of this set, the eastbound signal bridge, or westbound signal bridge. Alright, second thing is done. Alright, let that marinate. See if we have any questions in the chat. Route 4741. You said it was preserved somewhere? Let me see which one that was. Oh, I think I know which one that is. Yeah, that was just one of the old ABS signal indications. Hold on. So that was a few years after this, sometime around 2013 or so. Amtrak came through and swapped out the ABS signals they put in Rule 562 cab signals without fixed wayside signals. And everything down to the new Parksburg interlocking was that with bidirectional running. Yeah, so the mounts are still there. If I go back to 2008, they're there, and 2018 they're long gone. I mean, they're just ABS. This is when they went to re-signal the line. That's what it was. So this implies that in 1961 the line had been ABS for a while, and they added that Leaman place for a specific reason. I should go look through my PRR book, see if I can find photos of the main line between, Parksburg and whenever, to just see, because I thought it went to double track in 1948, but I saw that photo where it was triple track, and I don't want to have, no one corrected me on that. I was just using what I saw in Triumph of the PRR. One second, let me just get these. And here we have a better one. I'm changing that file name. This is close. Oh. Whatever. I'm trying to get a zoom shot here, and I biffed it with being soft. Trying to figure out if what I should do over the holiday here. So I have my SEPTA midwinter trip coming up on the 30th for anyone who's interested. That's going to be east at Concourse to Market East Station. We're doing Route 15, Chestnut Hill, Pie Fox Chase, with all the other bits and pieces. It's going to be on Monday the 30th at 9 a.m., starting downtown. If you're nearby, come on out. It's going to be a fun time. Always is. Always tend to get a lot of good luck. I got to write up an email on that tomorrow to get it out to the my local NRHS chapters. Here you have the whole Leaman Place complex here. With the 4L. Sorry, these are just different angles. So remember I said, hey, you're lucky I'm not doing my current types of photos. This is just me starting to do that, where I do photos that are up close. I do photos that are farther away. Yeah, it looks like the little greenhouse and stuff, to change the subject, were removed at some point. I think that this is farther away than the first one. Let's see. Yeah. Looking down at our overhead. Yeah, it appears that those buildings were on the site of what is now the transloading facility. See, 3 tracks, a high-level thing for like reefers. It's a pretty substantial facility. And there's a lumber yard there, too. So good for the, there's a good, where people can really get carload, short lines can really do a pretty good job with getting carload going. NS is now saying they're going to work with carload shippers better and or short lines. They can really generate a lot of traffic, especially in the age of declining oil and coal. Replacing coal is going to be their big thing. And if we have trade issues, then they can't necessarily rely on intermodal for an infinite source of growth either. Okay, I've already resized this. I really should have gotten way more photos than I did of these, but not a big deal. Better than nothing. Okie doke. There we go. Make this narrow and really boost the gain on it. Oh, this is a signal transformer. On the port road, when you went down there, they all had the yellow sticker of shame. For those of you who don't know, the yellow sticker of shame indicates that the transformer, probably from the 1930s, has PCBs in it. And here we have the relay cabinet for the 4L. This would have been the relay cabinet for the original PRR Main Line, the ABS switch too. Signal, I mean. Although I'm not sure when this went in, but in theory, this looks too modern to be a PR vintage one. This is just the 4L cabinet. It would have been in the same location as where the ABS thing, but this is not from the 1960s. Absolutely not. And here we have the new Leaman relay hut. Again, not entirely sure when this went into service. And view from the other side. I really don't like Amtrak's new station signs. By station sign, I mean that little thing. This is, interlocking station, and that little thing is the station sign. I really wish they just went back to, they used, in the 90s, right before this current period of the small sign, they just had these bangers. They're huge. Oh, it was really nice. They have pointless. Bowie has them. New Carrollton, it's this giant sign. Bowie, Amtrak, pointless arrow. Really cool, but oops. And here we have the other section switch for the overhead catenary. Again, I'm pretty sure that these, I do not even see motorization on them. These are all manual. So this is right before Thanksgiving. Today when you go out there, there's a lot more leaves on the trees because the winters are all warm. And Leaman again. And a cute little westbound angle here. Here you go. Now, we might have to do some extra photos today. I'm sure you'll all be disappointed. But I wanted to get through those ones at what's currently the Holland section of CORK. We're making pretty good progress. Up there's the pole line. I should have tracked where that pole line went. And that's our third set. Yep, we got it. All right, any questions? Yeah, I have slightly more than 4, so at some point I have to do them this week. I'm not going anywhere right now. So we're going to be moving seamlessly into the CORK interlocking ones, but what has became the Holland section of CORK. Oh, I did catch, it looks like I did catch a train at Leaman. So, as of 2007, they had no online live tracking. So you were either calling Julie if you knew which train you were wanting to catch, or you were just going by the schedule and hoping. I was pretty sure that I knew one was going to show up at some point. Love the water spraying off the pantograph from that AEM7 there. And also note that the Metroliner cab cars still have the front doors on them. They haven't been welded over with sheet metal. Now, apparently these doors wouldn't open, and they put the sheet metal on because they're still letting in weather. I have a chance to not have to change the name here. What did I get? 96.53. It's 96.34. And your AEM7 of that day is number 935. They're passing the 2R signal on the opposite track. So now we have moved to the next location. Let's get ourselves over there. So if you saw my, okay, I can get out of these Leaman things right now. Not that one. I can get out of this one. But actually where I want to go is my CORK Tower photos. So where we are at is the old Conestoga section of CORK. Here's what it looked like in the 1948 configuration. You had 4 tracks. There's a 2-track bottleneck bridge that they never expanded. So they had to shrink down to 2 tracks. Then they went back to 4 tracks through the station area. This thing here, 16 with a hand throw switch. Hold on. At some point when those 2 tracks went goodbye, or the tracks 2 and 3 went away, what you saw in that area was this. You had one trailing point crossover, which was then later de-electrified by Amtrak because nothing used it, and the 16 hand throw switch to the what they call the Lidditz second. The New Holland, the New Holland industrial track, or the New Holland secondary. Let's find out. New Holland industrial. It's actually a pretty reasonably busy track. So here we are. NS will send a seat. Yeah, it got a lot of industry up on it. Agriculture, Tyson's Foods, Dart Container Corporation, New Holland Concrete. It almost gets to the town of Blue Ball that everybody likes to make fun of. I think High Steel Structures is still there. Oh, do they still get rail service? They do. Oh, R.R. Donnelly is a printer. They used to make. They briefly tried to compete with like the Yellow Pages. I remember that was a big thing. Competing in a dying industry. Although it was right before the internet. Oh, God damn it. Rule 562 project with Lancaster. I wanted to pull up what the thing's going to look like. There you go. So that's what it was. One trailing point crossover that was rarely used. This hand throw switch, signal protected hand throw. After the tower, when the tower was re-signaled, it was turned into Holland interlocking, with only on track number 4 with the 25 switch, and the other thing that Amtrak did in this section was they put in wayside. So it's Rule 562, but at the time Amtrak felt like spending a little extra money to put in wayside distance signals in case of cab signal failure. So the RR Donnelly plant integrate. Oh, never mind. Looks like it's telecom or something. So on approach to each of these interlockings, you get a little wayside signal. This one is located right here, and I've got photos of that recently. It's only in one direction on number 4 track. However, at Holland is the location for the new distance signal to CORK interlocking. You can see it right there. So that applies to number 1 track for the interlocking that's downtown, which would be there. So that's why there's a new signal going up on this bridge, and then this one. So, and then this one is going to get turned into, so this is going to be an auto. This is going to be the new, 4E, that's the 5E, and then that's gone. And this is all part of the new Holland interlocking. At the time, now, it was just miserable weather. I got these photos. Oh, well into town. Oh, the old RCA plant's in here. That's the old Lancaster vacuum tube CRT plant. It's now a light industry business park. Here's that bottleneck bridge that it was a thing that they built it, and then even in the 19th century, they're like, oh, we got to replace the bridge, and they just never got around to it. I can get over there on Google and do a street view to show you the bridge. PA Route 23 goes under it. Here you go. The bridge has this weird unfinished look because it's unfinished. They literally left the granite blocks waiting to accept another 2 tracks on this side because they were built with a 4-track expansion planned. And they just never, of all the things the PRR never did, they never 4-tracked this bridge. And here we have the finished side of it. Look, it's all nice and smooth. The bridge has other problems. It's had iron, all sorts of whatever weights on it. Beautiful bridge on this side. But you go to the other side, and it's all, and it's all half finished. Because again, at the time they were fully expecting to 4-track this when they built this, and they never did. Built in 1887-88, 5-span bridge. Was originally intended to be 4 tracks wide, but only half the superstructure was built, leaving unfinished spandrel wall on the southern face. Tie rods were added in 1930 to brace the walls. And that's the new Holland interlocking right there. So when I first came down, there's there's like a water treatment plant right here. But the gate was right there. So you could drive down most of the way from the access road, park, and then you could walk down to the right of way and then get right to where you're at. Unfortunately, they moved the gate up here. or to there. And he said you used to be able to drive well down. Now I guess you could park and hoof it. What I want to do, I especially want to get that signal right there because the automatics might be going away. I want to get into this industrial zone. It's not fenced, and it's one of those, but it's got a lot of truck activity. It's one of those places you could sort of drive into and make it look like you got somewhere to be. Like, oh, I got to drive around. I could also go to this catering place, park in their lot, and try to get my way in that way. I'm not sure if that's the catering place or what. But there seems to be an access here through Millennium Drive, which I believe, oh, see, that's a public road. Yeah, this place is quiet. I got to go like on a Sunday. I should do it like, heck, I could do it like on the way home from Christmas. Nah, I don't want to waste that day. But I'm pretty confident I could just sort of sneak around to the back, pull off there, and go get my photos real quick. Probably back it in before someone really comes around to notice me. Sorry, I'm taking a little extra time here. Oh, I still remember how miserable I was on this. Some rain you can shrug off, and this day I was getting wet. All right, what do we got here? We got the 2R and the 2R4R signal. So I'm saying it's so that's just a hack on the interlocking for that one switch, because that one switch was never really there. It's really the 4R. Because the one switch is going to be normal. Hubley Toy. This used to be a toy factory. Now it looks like it's no longer anymore. Okay. It's more than enough chit-chat. Before this became Holland, this was known as the Conestoga section of CORK. Now Conestoga is directly east of the station, but this used to be the Conestoga section. The question is, what number is that automatic right there? I don't think I have the answer to that. Oh, wait, I might. Where was I? Oh, I don't need to be here anymore at all. In 2010, I went through there, and I should have a picture of it. There. No! Oh, there it is, the 661. So as you can see, this was still, they had a temporary mass signal in place. So even in 2010, they hadn't activated Leaman interlocking as an interlocking. CORK was still there, but re-signaled. Leaman hadn't been activated yet, but they are getting ready to. You can see those guys are testing it. This is a temporary automatic signal to go track number 4, track number 1 eastbound. Sometimes I forget how slow the whole re-signaling on the main line was. So that's the 661 auto. All right, and here we have the current 2R gantry signal. This is kind of a gross picture, so I'm going to take a bigger cut of it just to show some additional stuff. And maybe I can do a little bit wider. Sometimes when the picture is gross, like this, it helps to just make a wide cut because I don't have a lot of damn it, I don't have a lot of detail in that signal anyway. So I might as well get additional stuff around it. There we go. That looks not bad, but. Here I have the Holland 5E. Now, did I have what did I put for this stuff back in the day? Okay, yeah, I did do that cut. Okay. Ugh. Oh, come on. It's hard for me to tell where the lines are because they've bagged this thing with so much canvas. Alright, that looks good. Yeah, that'll do it right there. So 5E mast, it's the new. So whenever stuff's bagged, I always preference it with new, and if stuff is like the remnants of things, I prefix it with old. Oh, wait. I know what the problem is. I never switched the quality level back. Perfect. All right, here we have these two boyos here. All right, first we do that, and then we do this. So we have, what do we have? CORK, 2R. That looks reasonable. Now again, this is a controlled signal. There's nothing it's protecting, so it's also the distant to the crossovers at the main CORK station. Now here we have the New Holland. New Holland is actually the name of the town, but it's in this case it's the New, Holland interlocking relay hut. Also note that arm-thick telecom wire. That's the lead sheath telecom line that they installed here in like the 1930s. So even though the signaling is pretty old, they had instead of using a pole line, when the electrification went in, instead of an open wire pole line, they put everything in that lead-lined cable. And a lot of that is still there, even though it's no longer in service. Now, it was getting really sketchy for the longest time. I don't think any of it is in service. They're always trying to pump nitrogen and stuff into it. That it's still along the right-of-way. They haven't reeled it in, probably just because it's lead. So here we have CORK, 4R dwarf. Here we have the Conestoga gantry relay hut. Don't exactly know where I'm going to cut this. Might just make it a square. I remember that this whole area is a little bit more than a little treacherous. I don't like that brightness. Too bright. That's better. That one switch didn't disappear. It's there. At a certain point, they removed the wire from it, and it was just sort of a, what is it? It was only used for maintenance away if it was ever used. It was such a miserable day, and the guy that was driving me around, I didn't feel like subjecting him to more of this than I had to, so I didn't really run around trying to get all the photos. And here we have the one switch plus the, well, I would like to, yeah, I'll call it the 16 switch. By this point in time, it was a real switch, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But you can also see the airline is over there. I want to get a little bit of that air hose in, or air pipeline. And here we have the... I don't know what this was at this time. Let's find out. So when you unlock the switch, you got the thing with it. I don't know how this worked. If the switch, I don't know what they did to mod, because it was worked off the interlocking machine to the end. Like, we got a derail here, we got a signal here. I don't know what they did. Maybe we can dig down into this real quick. Does that say 25B? Ooh, interesting. That's 1 west. I didn't go all the way down there. There's the air plant. There's the 16 signal. Give me a... Come on. Oh, no, I didn't get the... But I'm pretty sure that says 25B. Now, normally under the new thing, that would be the... oh, that would be 25B. Did they renumber the tracks? Ah, crap, it is a 25. But what was controlling it? I really don't know. I can see them... Yeah, it's tough to know what that one was. Like, what did they do? Like, right now, the interlocking machine was still in service. So what was this? Would you throw 16 on the interlocking machine? Because let's actually check the machine. That's not the one I need. Lever is 10 to 42. Okay, it's on a switch lever. So, yeah, they likely, because it's on a switch lever, they could mod the machine to throw the switch and display the signal. Wait, it's on a signal lever, but it's shown as electric lock without the center thing. So it's, yeah, wow, this is really fascinating. I'm just going to call it all the 16 like it should have been, like it was originally, and I'll just go from there. So here we got the 1W switch. That's going to be the 16L. It's, I guess it would be 16R, because you putting it to the right will reverse the switch and light the signal. So I guess that's 16R. That would make sense. Okay, so the one switch, 16R dwarf plus 16 derail plus the air plant. All right, I think that's everything in there. And one more. Got a close-up view here. Here, get rid of that 1W switch. And the power supply, but add the air line. Yeah, it's crazy that for like one crossover you'd need to have a compressor and a whole air supply. Yeah, they don't do that anymore. All right. Getting down to the end. Last one. So we're going to be, let's see how many more I have to do. 63 is the last one I need. That's 14. So we're going to be doing this a little bit longer tonight. But let's see if I can finish before the 2-hour mark in about 15 minutes. So let's see where we're going to go. Anybody have any questions or anything here? All right. I'll try to power through this with a minimum amount of what do you call those? Side stories. But you know that's impossible. You know. I'm glad I got in here, and I'm glad I especially glad I got Holland in this sort of half-open state too. So here we have the CORK 16 derail plus the Conestoga air plant plus air pipe. And we're going in the westbound direction. Oh, and that's the CORK pole line that will get, that's why, this is under direct wire control from the CORK machine. As I tell people in my CORK, my paper, CORK was one of the few, represents the alternate future where U.S. railroads adopted more area, direct wire area control, as opposed to what they actually did is going with CTC. Now, because this is more of a Holland thing, (25B) derail. So technically, in a wide angle, this is part of the CORK. It's in service as part of CORK right here. But if I want to go into this narrow angle, there's no difference between this and if I went there today, it'd be the 25B derail. So I'm going to label this as an Amtrak Holland thing. It's not original to CORK. So here's an interesting thing. Amtrak does its point heating, although interestingly enough, if I go here, in the when I had the Holland machine up, there's a note saying no switch heaters installed. Yet this is this transformer for the switch heaters. In a weird eggs in one basket type of policy, Amtrak powers its switch heaters from the 25 hertz overhead power supply. And if you look, when you're on the NEC, you will see things like this. This setup with the power, this transformer. And you'll see a wire going into it from the overhead. It'll be tapped into one of the overhead wires, and it will go into that. And it's all up and down the corridor. It's just cheaper than propane. Amtrak gets its own power, hydro, etc. They'd rather keep it in-house. Okay, so... And here we have the 1W switch. Oh, I forgot to show you folks. There's no overhead wire on that switch. It was for MWU, so it was wired at one point, but they pulled the wire down. It's too much of a snag risk. So at this point, that was this track, that one switch was only ever used. Now, before, there was a point in time where in the 2005, the overhead catenary was all de-energized out here because they were fixing it up. They weren't running electrics out here anymore. CORK 1W switch. And now we have the new Holland 25 switch plus the Conestoga Bridge. Don't know how if I'm ever going to get out there, but... And I'll label this as a Holland interlocking related thing. And again, no wires over the one switch. This was you can tell this is a supplementary pole that was put in to support that switch, or maybe it will support the old collapse from 4 tracks to 2. Here we have the air plant going the op. Oh, there's the T-box. The T-box is a telephone. So what do we have here? We've got all right, I think I got all that stuff. This bit here, so in an air plant, what you have is, this is the air compressor. It used to be in the towers, have those air manifolds. They've managed up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. They managed to shrink them into this. That is the air reservoir, and that is the dryer. That has stuff in it to dry out the air. You can purge it, I think, in some way. I don't know how it works. It's a chemical, but I've opened the valve on them, and water squirts out. So I don't know. I mean, like compressed air and water. And this is all instrumented into the tower. So if I was to go back to this CORK, old CORK doohickey, I can show you that this end had its own low air. It should have a low air pressure. Conestoga East, Conestoga West. So that if there's a problem with that compressor, you get the low air alarm, and then you'd have an amount of time that you could still throw the switch. There's instructions in case of low air for you to basically normal the switches, and if it goes below a second level, then you can't throw them at all because they just go on center. Here we have the 16L dwarf. Now again, this dwarf was operated in conjunction with a hand throw switch, but that was then motorized in the tower's last few years. One second. That works. The 1E again. Sorry, I don't have much. I'm sort of just going. I walked to one end of the interlocking, now I'm walking back the other way. I'm just going to hit some of the same stuff. This is an interesting thing. When they went through this with Amtrak, they put in traditional battery wells, which is neat. You don't tend to see those as much anymore, and the new huts tend to have those internally. Possibly due to they just need less power, or they're using lithium ions or something, or they don't care. All right, 4 left. And here we have, again, the 2R signal from behind. 2R sig. Trying to get this done before. YouTube has some stuff with videos over 2 hours, so I always try to get these done in under 2. Like, you can't like download them, or there's some weird thing when they go over 2 hours. So here's the 4R dwarf again, just from the rear. Down to 2, back to the 5. Yeah, well, in further review, the pole line for this stuff is going to be on the north side of the tracks. This is the pole line. The other one is just it just looked like what I said. So here it's PVC covered, the black plastic that typically covers telecom. But other places it's lead wrapped, like old school phone lines up through the 50s. And last picture, Amtrak number 901. Nice. I think 900 got destroyed at Chase, Maryland or something. But this is probably the earliest AEM7 seen here with a Keystone. I'll stick with the same old name there. Alright, there we go. I gotta get going soon, but anyway, thank you so much for attending the stream. What is it? Yep, 63 is the last one. Get these guys all deleted there. And let's see if we have any comments, and I'll log off early. All right. Anybody comments? I don't see any. All right, I'm going to head out. Have a great day. Laters.